If you want to save your marriage, one of the best ways is actually to introduce some humour. If you're facing divorce, and especially if your spouse wants to end your marriage but you don't, then humour may seem like the last thing on your mind, and this may seem like bad marriage advice. But think about this. But too often, sharing a funny story or a joke is one of the first things that goes from a marriage or relationship when problems start to arise. Yet it was one of those things that made your relationship fun and relaxed in the early days, wasn't it? So if your relationship or marriage is under stress, make a point of sharing a laugh with your partner. And if they're cold or resistant towards you, you can still share something funny with them. Just make sure you do it in a casual way. And say to yourself, I'm going to share this with them because I think it's funny. If they don't react positively, then it's no big deal. One of the keys to saving your marriage, especially when your spouse doesn't want to, is to bring back some fun into your relationship without creating any additional pressure on your spouse. And humour is a great way to do it. To get the ball rolling, here's a funny poem you can pass on to your spouse. You'll find a copy of this poem on my website, which you can access by clicking on the link below. So maybe email it to your spouse, or even better, tell them about it. But here it is. The missus bought a paperback down Shepton Mallet Way. I had a look inside her bag. 'Twas 50 Shades of Grey. Well, I just left her to it, and at 10 I went to bed. An hour later she appeared. The sight filled me with dread. In her left she held a rope, and in her right a whip. She threw them down upon the floor and then began to strip. Well, 50 years or so ago I might have had a peek, but Mabel hasn't weathered well. She's 84 next week. Watching Mabel bump and grind could not have been much grimmer. And things then went from bad to worse. She toppled off her Zimmer. She struggled back upon her feet. A couple minutes later, she put her teeth back in and said, I am a dominator. Now, if you knew our Mabel, you'd see just why I spluttered. I'd just spent 2 months in traction for the last complaint I'd uttered. She stood there nude and naked, bent forward just a bit. I went to hold her, sensual-like, and stood on her left. Mabel screamed. Her teeth shot out. My God, what had I done? She moaned and groaned, then shouted out, Step on the other one. Well, readers, I can't tell no more about what occurred that day. Suffice to say my jet black hair turned 50 shades of grey. Now that poem is by John Summers, and again, as I said, you'll find a text of it on my website by clicking on the link in the description. And if you like some more powerful ways and different ways to save and strengthen your marriage, check out my 30-day Save Your Marriage Relationship Transformation Program. You'll find that on my website as well.